everybody seemed to be in unanimous opinion that it was a great success, and so we're just grateful for everybody pitching in, grateful to the teachers for organizing the fairy houses, and grateful to the B&J Fund for, I know, she was here. Amy Smith gets tons of credit for a huge organizing force. But everybody did a little bit too. B&J provided the food, so we're just grateful. So we're hopeful certainly to do it again next year, but to have more events like that. People step up to organize. Our attraction sales, again, also Amy Smith organized. She's like a star, rock star. She was here, so we can tell her. But that was another huge success. I think we tripled our income from when we sold it 2 years ago, the little books. So thanks to everybody for getting involved in that. And Lisa will talk about the budget in a minute, but you know, we're excited. We're trying to really diversify our sources of funds. We're going to talk about more fundraising ideas in a minute. But that was a huge boost to kind of mobilizing the PTO accounts and moving us forward to the future, so we can really be thinking about creative ways to support and enrich the school. So that brings us to the budget. Emily was just going to say a few words. Just as an introduction, the budget is maybe feels different to teachers than it has in the past. We're trying to be a lot more precise about expected expenditures based on past experiences. No, that's okay. I'm like, I'll just talk. So anyway, so people have had questions, and so we published the budget, but we just want to be transparent. So Emily's just going to say a few things, and then if you want questions afterwards, feel free.
The reason for that we tried to come up with a budget is that in the past, requests would come in and they were just filled as they came in randomly without, and it tended to be that that certain things would be approved and there wasn't a clear idea of where the money. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't want to be like,
again.
No. I just don't want to be like, you know.
Oh no, I meant by random meaning that it was not.
No,
there wasn't a set amount for each thing.
That's absolutely true. I wasn't objecting to anything. That's totally fair and accurate. It was pretty much whatever. If anybody asked for something, you could get it. Because people weren't really asking for anything because they didn't know we had any money, and we had never really had money before. Right. So now we have money and requests. Oh no, you can run out of money that way.
Yeah, and so we also, because we started out with an amount less than we had expected, so we are trying to be responsible about where the money goes, and also in order to be able to fund larger item things, for example, the atlases for 4th grade, then it means being careful about those little things that go out here and there. You know, if you pay for little things here and there, it all adds up, and then there isn't money for the bigger things. And also, there were times when there were money spent that at the end, we're like, oh no, how did you spend over $600 on field aid? You know, things like that, which is not intended. But so that's why the budget it was based on previous expenditures, reviewing that, and then seeing, okay, what areas do we want to expand and what areas do we want to shrink? So if you look at the printed, which I'm not going to go over line by line, but there are some things that some people question, well, why is, for example, choir shirts on there? It's like, well, because the PTO paid for it in the past, and we were told it was expected of the PTO, but we kind of lessened the amount in the hopes that there will be more participants. So things like that. SOL snacks, we were told the PTO was expected to pay for it. So, but again, we tried to lessen the amount so that we're trying to, what we'd like to do is try to think of more creative ways to meet some of these needs, such as when, you know, Adrian Martin over the wipes drive, you know, instead of using PTO funds, we just have everyone bring in a white package or the random room mob request, you know, just have them, as opposed to using PTO funds. And that way, when we raise funds, we can clearly say to the people who are supporting us, oh, this is going towards these, you know, enrichment activities, etc. So the amount that came up, it's, as Adrian said, and Molly said, it's a work in progress. We're still trying to see what are the needs. One area we have expanded, almost double the amount that was allocated towards teacher requests. So the amount that we put in the budget actually almost twice what previously was. But then there was a question among, and my understanding was that there was a question about how it's allocated among the teachers. So we tried to have an amount per grade so that the even grades don't feel like they're being left out, like, whoever asks first gets it, so. And left up the teachers to decide, do they all want it as a grade going together, like the 4th grade requested atlases, which is great. That's the kind of thing we want to support. And if they all agree, okay, that's how we want, that's what we support. Or individual teachers can spend a certain amount. But I'll say that as a PTO treasurer, I'm not capable of monitoring each individual person. So I appreciate the teachers can kind of among themselves discuss, that, because that's hard. But so we're also open to ideas like if, say, it seems like there's more money going towards the upper grades and their activities. If the lower grades have an idea, we have money allocated, say, towards enrichment, and if there's a great idea, we would love to be able to support that. So please request it and we can talk about it. Also, there are certain things that in the past there wasn't much request. For example, field trips. That was just covering the amount that that parents who weren't able to afford to pay for it, And there was not that big amount, so that's why the amount in the budget is small. But say someone came up with an idea for some big field trip, and the PTO might be interested in supporting it, and maybe we'll find a way to put that in the budget. Does that make sense? So we're open to those ideas, and we are trying to increase fundraising, as you said, so that we can have bigger ideas. But I will say, we're very happy about the attractions fundraiser, which brought a lot, especially because the main fundraiser for the PTO is at the end of the year, which is the silent auction bingo. And my understanding is one of the biggest items that has been on silent auction, the Fry Springs Pool Club membership, which brought in about $900 a year, I think, is not going to be available this year. So when you think about our fundraising, we are down at least $900. So thankfully, we brought in more through the attractions to kind of make up for that. But we have to keep in mind, we have to balance the books at the end of the day.
I have a couple of questions. I'm a teacher at another school in the county now, so I kind of feel like I'm suddenly getting this different view on how the PTO funds are used, and I have questions. And at the 2 schools I've worked so far, as soon as I started the job, the principal or somebody would come to me and say, you are given this much money from PTO per teacher. And so one school, it was a big sum, and another school was a really small sum. But it was guaranteed, they just came and said, this is what our PTO offers per teacher. Is that not what we're doing right now, or we are?
In the past, it has not been. So when I reviewed all the receipts, literally reviewed all the receipts from the previous year, it was very random, and it was not equal across the board, which is why
it might be $50 a teacher or something like that, and in some cases, it's been a lot more, and of course it depends on how much.
Like $200 a teacher?
Sometimes more.
$400 a teacher?
It doesn't. It's more. My question would be more like prioritizing. Do we want our first priority to be to fairly distribute money to every teacher, and then the next priority be for field trips, and then the next, I feel like maybe setting a set of priorities where we think that money should go first and second, and then we can. It might change every year. What we have in the bank at the end of that year would decide where.
When we were coming up with the budget, and we were talking, it kind of was based on what Adrian and Molly came up with as the mission statement of both supporting the enrichment and the community. And so some of these things are not direct teacher requests, but things that we felt like support the Johnson community, such as things like the Fall Carnival or
Girls on the Run.
Girls on the Run, yeah.
Get a big check for that.
But the choir, for example, the choir shirts are kind of seen as part of Johnson community to show that we're this family, and a unified face in the community. When they go perform at other places, Johnson School has this choir, things like that. So it's not just, so that's why I would say in the budget about about half. It's about half towards teacher requests and enrichment activities, and the other half was towards other random things. But there is an amount that we budgeted per grade, and again, the teachers can decide whether they want to do it per teacher or all as a grade. And we do have to figure out still how we're going to do specials. That was a new thing. We didn't even think about all the specials and specials. So we kind of have this lump sum, and we'll have to figure out how that would be divided.
I definitely want to encourage conversation about this, because it shouldn't be just a small group of people making these decisions. Everybody has their own perspective. But feel free to email us. As Emily said, this is an ongoing dialogue, and we're talking to Mr. Bach and other administrators and have staff representatives that are working with us so that we can make this as accommodating of the mission and everybody's needs and the kids ultimately. And also, on the note of increasing fundraising, I wanted to put in there that the box tops this year brought in $225, which is significantly more than typically was like around $180. So we have Karen Sleezer to thank for that. And the prizes for the 2 classes that I think generated the most income, and then the one that had the most participants, haven't been announced yet, but that'll be coming up. And we have a parent who arranged for Papa John's to donate, Mr. McGrath, for Papa John's to donate and give at a very much reduced price some pizza for those parties. So that's that update.
Okay. So the last thing in old business is Donuts for Dad, which I was the one guilty of the people. My children had chicken pox. If you got a letter, that was my bad. I like the freak out people. So we missed the Donuts for Dad, but I understand this is a big success, and so we're thankful to Michelle for that. It was huge.
Yes, well, not Michelle. It was funded by the Title I program this year, and Muffins for Mom as well. And it's Muffins for Mom is coming up this Friday at 7:15, and Donuts for Dad, the camera thing we missed. The Donuts for Dad is very well attended, and it's just great because it gets a lot of people in the school that aren't usually around at the time.
And you're able, this year is different that because you're able to bring home books, right?
Exactly, exactly.
And that'll happen again
Great
Monday,
response
Big Friday.
For people bringing in gently used books, and so every kid was able to choose a book, and then after Friday, when we see how many books we have left, I want to try to get a plan for having the kids that didn't get to come to either of those events get to choose a book as well.
And it's interesting, on that day we were about 5 minutes away from canceling school because we had the water main break and didn't have water, and they just handled everything beautifully and didn't skip a beat. So again, great job.
Okay, so Adrian's going to do the new business.
All right, well, that was a nice segue with Michelle from Muffins for Moms, which again is this Thursday at 7:15.
Friday.
Oh, Friday, thank you. And it occurred to me, I was subbing the day after, or the day of Donuts for Dads, and there was one child who was kind of heartbroken because his dad had indicated that he would be there and he couldn't be there at the last minute, or there was some miscommunication. So it occurred to me, if you know a child whose parents aren't able to be there, or you know they don't have an uncle or somebody to bring with them, invite another child. You know, it's a great opportunity to have fun being together. We also have the winter concert coming up on December 8th in the evening, and Ms. Tobin's been working really hard with the kids. It's fun to see them coming from music class singing their songs. And we have been asked, the PTO has been asked to help with the decorations. So there's a committee, I sent out an email, and there's a small committee of folks who are going to help repurpose some cardboard and stuff and turn it into hopefully a winter wonderland. If you're interested in helping out with those decorations, then send me an email, please. Yeah, welcome to Boys and Girls Club. This is a new space for us. Of course, we had the Ruby Payne discussion here. So most of you, or quite a few of you, were here for that. And this is a nice way to kind of get used to this environment and see the interactions with the kids and the adults here. We're entertaining and very enthusiastic about the possibility of doing spring clubs in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club in this location. And the dialogue is still very young, but the Boys and Girls Club and Mr. Bach and Molly and I are really enthusiastic about that possibility. So stay tuned. We also have coming up, and this is also kind of more in the brainstorm, but everybody seems really positive about it, a race. Some of you know that Clark Elementary School, and maybe some other ones, did a race that was a fundraiser and a community building event, and we would like very much to do that here at Johnson. We have one of our staff liaisons, Ms. Greenwood, looking into that possibility and what orchestration of that would look like. But if you are a runner or you're interested in wellness and have some connection in the community or some enthusiasm you want to share, please feel free to get in touch with me or Ms. Greenwood about that. Any questions? I feel like I'm going.
Can I share some new business? We did have a visitor from the White House come to Johnson, and it was Nancy Sutley, who was President Obama's advisor for environmental issues. And it was very exciting. We also had Dr. Trent from Mark Warner's office, who was in attendance. We had the mayor and several school board members. And it was our big environmental focus with city schools of reducing our carbon footprint, and also our connections within the curriculum to the environment, specifically with first grade's partnership with UVA with their environmental sciences program, and also our third and fourth grade, some of our third and fourth grade students going out and studying our community catchment area and making recommendations to improve our community. And those ideas will be presented to our City Planning Commission. So it was really nice to be able to showcase what we were doing at Johnson. Mark Warner's office was very excited about what we were doing with our college connections. She was going to go back and have dialogue with Mark Warner about what we're doing. She wanted to share that around the state. Was hoping to use Johnson as a potential model and showcasing what we're doing and bringing awareness to those college connections pretty early on. So it was really exciting opportunity. You saw a lot of, we made NPR News. I think that's the first time Johnson has been on NPR News. We obviously you saw some links that were sent out by PTO and some community on the news networks and also in the Daily Progress. So it was an exciting opportunity for us to showcase. We had some graduate students who were there and some of our professors who were partnering with us. So it was a really nice opportunity, and our students got to have individual dialogue with Ms. Sutley, and they all wanted to know, some students, and they all wanted to know, did she know President Obama? Did she interact with President Obama? And where's your office in reference to his? It was how close are you? That's right, that's how close. So it was a neat opportunity. So.
I just wanted to say I'm also very excited about that opportunity, but I felt a little disappointed that it was only for the gifted and advanced children that could participate for the third and fourth grade. And so I would love to kind of see this continue and have it be more widespread. So as it was like for the whole first grade, as opposed to just special opportunities for special children. And so that was a little frustrating on my part personally, because my child is not in that program. So I didn't know anything about it, and I saw it on the news, and I was like, wow, that's pretty wonderful. So I just want to kind of be mindful about that, about who's getting opportunities to do things and do special things, and who's not.
If I just wanted to add to that. In third grade, didn't know, we actually have students from UVA's chemistry department, and they came in and did demonstrations in each third grade classroom, did a full kind of hour-long lesson, really cool stuff, and so all students were involved, and they actually asked, how many times can we come back? So we've already said them to come back and do like an energy lesson. So there are other opportunities for all students.
We're doing it in K too.
K as well. That happens at all grade levels.
It's happening.
Excellent. I didn't doubt. I had no doubts.
Any other questions? All right, thanks for that update, Mr. Buck.
Sure.
Yeah, and I don't have this on here, but this is very important. Nita Gupta with the Sunshine Committee is planning a teacher appreciation lunch this Thursday. Foods need to be dropped off by 11. That's the first round of lunches for the teachers, and they have a very short period, so if you could get it there a little before 11, that's even better. And the theme, I guess, for the cooking is lasagna. There still is plenty of space for people to contribute meals. This is really a boost to the teachers. I know they're really looking forward to it. So I'm going to pass around the sign-up sheet for lasagna and salads. If you change your mind or you realize that you have some freedom in your day and you want to bring something, please feel free to do so later on, even if you don't sign up. The only other thing coming up really is in the spring, and that's what has been our main fundraiser, which is the silent auction and bingo night. And so we'll put that out there in the future landscape, which is for newcomers, and feel free to pitch in if you've been here longer than I have and know much more about it, Lisa. Yes?
And can Mr. Buck do the MC again?
Yes, I agree. Here.
That was the highlight of the evening.
No.
Well, no,
Happy to do it.
Okay, it wasn't that.
Before
If you
you
did
get
big
it
all
from,
night, then Mr. Buck has to do the MC.
Happy to do it.
All right. Are you going to go back to the Mohawk Club for that night?
No comment.
I know, I have a question about the silent auction. I know you mentioned at some point we could even start asking businesses now if they're
yes, that's a
interested.
great idea. I know there's a letter, I have a letter that I've been using, and I want to run it by Vernon again. I'd like to include some more of the things that you've been talking about, Emily. If you could send me some more stuff that I could put to say that this is what the funds are going to be doing. I could to get a little bit more about our school's demographic. I have this great dream. I think I made this up in my own imagination. I don't think it's real. But my dream is this, audience. My dream is that there's a bank somewhere in Virginia that likes to give money to our school, but really can't. So what they'll do instead is buy us an iPad, which we can then raffle off or use as a silent auction item. Maybe 2 iPads, or an iPad and an iPod, or an iPhone S, 4S, something of high value that they will give us for free. Now, it seems to me that since banks sponsor races, they buy all the race t-shirts, they have some money to buy us an iPad that we could then use for a major silent auction item. We need that big ticket item, banks, because we have lost our major source of our, which was, it was the full third of our revenue for the silent auction came from Fry Springs. And without that, our fundraising efforts are severely hampered. We make very little money on bingo cards and stuff like that, or snacks or whatever. Mostly, the highest thing was Fry Springs. The next highest was teacher donations. Like teachers agreeing to go to lunch with a student. People would like scratch your eyes out
And what's your
for that. Oh my gosh, which I have then since donated to the preschool class. Yes, it's, you can go visit them whenever you like. Whenever you like.
So we can all go out in the community that when we have this letter and say, you know, would you
Right.
be interested in
Right.
donating for this
Right,
silent auction?
right. And sometimes I usually start in January. That's when I usually start, but if we wanted to start earlier, that was an option.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the sooner the better. I was trying to go around last year around that time, like February, and also for my daughter's preschool, and
Yes.
like they were like,
Everyone's
you have
fresh
no idea,
out.
it's all right this time of year, and they
Yes.
like hate to see you coming. So now everybody's fresh and excited, and they can probably get their tax deduction for the holidays.
Okay.
So
I'm happy to like shoot you a copy of the letter, or kind of just to get more information about where we want the funds to go. You know, I'm happy to do that. I know I keep saying I'm going to give it to you, but I keep forgetting. So I apologize for that inconvenience. But I would, and also another thing we get funds from is the connections that people have in the community.